potentially huge development this for the football club and sort of Greater Manchester. So how did your involvement come about, and when do you said late this year, when do you expect to sort of be able to football back? How do you expect to sort of the examination stuff?
I mean, from our point of view, there's nothing bigger in world football than the name Manchester United. And if we unlock the full power of this club in terms of its power to regenerate, then that's fantastic for Greater Manchester in terms of jobs, new investment into the city region. This place where we are, the investment has gone in Media City, but actually, if you look around the wider area, there's not a huge amount actually in recent decades. This could be the biggest regeneration project in the north of England that we'll ever see. It could be that big. It depends on the club though. The club's got a decision to make about, is it refurbished, is it new build? Whatever the club decides, we'll support them in that. And in either scenario, it's massive for Greater Manchester. But obviously, we're standing behind the club to make sure that the maximum benefit is achieved for the economy of Greater Manchester.
Do you think it could be like on a scale of East London and the Olympics? Is that the hope?
I think it absolutely could be on that scale. It could be more because of this club and the desire of people around the world to be associated in some way with this club. I often say I go and do trade missions around the world. The number of rooms I walk into, I'm just saying, meeting the second gentleman of the United States, the Vice President's husband, first thing he wants to talk about is Manchester United. The power of this club for us is massive because it's got that reach, and so for us we need to set it up for the 21st century, and in doing so, I think we will bring huge economic benefits to our residents. So this idea about, is this paying for stay? It's just that. To be honest, that's such a sort of simplistic sort of debate. It's about the wider enabling. If you go big with the vision, if Sir Jim goes big with his vision, we will need transport infrastructure to support that. We will need to put investment in ourselves to support that, so that then the jobs can come in around it. So that's what's at stake.
Is that where you think public money could come in?
Well, you look at other stadiums, this is why I say it's a false debate. When you look at Bramley Moor, look at Everton's new stadium, the Liverpool City region has put some of the enabling funding in there. It's always done in that way, and this will be no different. It has to be a public-private partnership. Even if to refurbish Old Trafford will have to be a public-private partnership.
Why? Because the Glazers are billionaires. St Jim Martin's one of the richest person. So why aren't they able to fund it?
Well, good question, but can I explain why? This ground is fairly unique in having a train station almost part of the fabric of the ground. A train station is not being used at the moment because it's not designed in the right way. So that itself says that if you were to refurbish the stand, let's say the stand that we're in was to be refurbished as part of that approach, you'd have to do something to move that station, and that would require public money.
So you've got Britain's richest people, and the majority of collective shareholders are billionaires as well. There's all that railway station.
No, I didn't say it's all about the railway station. I gave you that as an example.
How was the answer you get?
No, I gave you it as an example.
So can you give me small examples?
Yeah, I can give you many. There's a wider area around Trafford Park industrial estate that could be the location for major new investments into the city region, and it would mean perhaps some public funding in the works, the enabling and infrastructure works to make that happen. That's what we're talking about here. It's too much of a narrow debate just to say about, how much has the club got and who's paying for the stadium. It's much bigger than that, and I think you need to see it in that way. Otherwise, people won't understand what's at stake here.
So in terms of the actual structure, say it's a new stadium, no public money for that, the club will pay for that. The infrastructure, I can understand. The actual building, the club is going to pay for that wholesale.
It's way too early to be even kind of we're just not even there, are we? At this point, let's just focus on where we're at with this, without getting ahead of ourselves. What we do, we just got to focus on where we're at. What I've got to do as part of the task force in the next 5-6 months, working with Lord Co and Gary and others, is give all of the supporting information to enable the club to make a decision. Is it refurbished or is it new build? Because in either case, the reason I gave before, there will be some requirement to have public funds involved because of the train station. And there's a big freight depot right behind Old Trafford, which is an issue as well. And that's something we've got to look at. So we've got to kind of do all of that work so that the club can come to the middle or later in the year and say, okay, we see everything involved here, we see the full picture that's involved, and we're going to go that way or we're going to go that way. And there's not going to be any kind of sense of pouring public funds into a stadium. That's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is a complex regeneration scheme that could be the biggest in the north of England in our lifetimes. And why wouldn't I, as Mayor of Greater Manchester, want that? You know, if I'm honest with you, the more ambitious the club is, the better it is for us, because then the benefits will come out to our residents for decades to come.
To be clear, Andy, whichever option the club goes for, there is what are you saying?
Yes. Yeah, but not the stadium. You know, everyone will go straight to that simplistic thing. Oh, put your money in the stadium. I just gave you the example of Bramley Moor.
Yeah.
You look at any new build stadium in the last 20, 30 years, there will have been some public funds involved in infrastructure, in supporting development. That's just a fact. That's just the way that it is. And of course, you know, if you look at the example of West Ham, you know, the Olympic Park, you know, lots of public money has gone into some developments around the country because of what they can bring to those places.
Is there any concern on your part that City fans will see you?
I joined you as champion.
Yeah.
This is the final question.
Is there any concern on your part that you could risk alienating City fans because they'll see you to be very much attracted to be on the Manchester United task force? That you've lived in Manchester there for a while.
There's always risk for me in this scenario. Risk of being an Evertonian Greater Manchester Mayor is one risk. Well, we are the exception face of the next in these parts. That is true. But no, I mean, yes, there are those risks. But I've supported City, and actually the City region has supported Manchester City, and they have put a lot of funding into East Manchester, and that should be recognised. You know, the wider development around the Etihad is unbelievable. You know, you think of the public money that created the stadium in that instance, but actually they've sunk a lot of money into the facilities around that ground. That area is utterly transformed from the place I remember when I was growing up in these parts, and you know, we would have exactly the same relationship with Manchester United. You know, this city, only Milan has got 2 Champions League winners in the city, and that sets Manchester apart. I would argue, you could make an argument that this is the biggest city in world football because of the 2 clubs that we've got within it. But if the ambitious vision comes through, either refurbished or new build, there would be no doubt about that. If on the west of Greater Manchester you have Manchester United at the heart of a new campus, a facility that links to Media City and all of that, and then on the other side of the city you've got Manchester City who continue to build out from the Etihad with a new arena. You've got a massive new indoor arena going in there. Just think about that. You know, no other city in the world would be set up in terms of its football infrastructure. Nowhere would come close to Manchester. As Mayor of Greater Manchester, that is why I am sitting here in front of you today. It's why I will give this task force. It's not for show. We will absolutely give everything we've got here to help the club, because the benefits to our city region are massive if we unlock them.
Mr. Jim, no more questions.
It's working towards around middle of the year into the autumn. You know, I've got an election though, so I get through first, so maybe somebody else will be doing all of it. Thank you. Cheers, everybody. Thank you. What's your prediction? Any?